Hi there, my name's Mike Thompson. I'm the former Director of Environment and Development at Queanbeyan-Palerang Regional Council, and I've recently retired.
Local government, there's just so much more to it than the stereotypical perceptions that you might see out there in the community. It's been a benefit personally to be able to work for council. So I started with council in February 1981, and I started as a trainee health and building inspector. Now since then our names have changed a bit. They're now called building surveyors and environmental health officers. But at the time it was a combined job where we looked after the inspection and approval of buildings, and we went out and had a look at premises that had an environmental health focus, such as food shops, places with swimming pools, anything that had an environmental health issue. I just left school in 1980, and I was looking for a job that was sort of outdoors and a little bit indoors. But I thought to myself, what sort of job is there out there that actually provides that? I didn't particularly want to join the public service. And so when this position came up, I thought, building inspector. Yes, I'm sure I'll be out in the field a little bit there and probably in the office doing some paperwork as well. And I thought, this might be a good job. I didn't particularly want to move away from the Queanbeyan-Palerang region. I thought, what a great opportunity to work for a local organisation, and so I put my application in. So the first four or 5 years was spent studying and learning about the job. At night time, I did my course by correspondence, and I was able to draw on the experiences and the knowledge of the staff that I was working with to help me get through that. So after that, I was fortunate enough that about the time that I finished my course, there were some positions came up. I applied for the position of what's called a graded health and building surveyor, and took on that role, and I spent a couple of years doing that. That progressed to an opportunity to go to a district health and building surveyor, where you were responsible for a particular area of the city and also another staff member. And then after about 10 years, opportunity came up to become an assistant director, if you like. Within about 3 or 4 years, the cards fell in such a way that I was able to apply for a position as a manager, and I took on that role as manager of environmental health that was at that stage. In the 90s, we reviewed council structure and we brought all our planning, environmental and building functions together, and they were looking for a new director. And from the late 1990s, I applied for the job and I became the director of that team, and that was the role I had until I retired recently. I think the thing that has kept me here is that in this role and in local government generally, you're involved in the decisions that affect the community, and you see the results of the decisions that affect the community. Whether it's being a parks person that looks after the main street, and you see how the main street looks every time you drive down, or even a bigger project like building a brand new road, like Elton Drive extension. It's a huge project over many years. To actually see that come to fruition and actually drive down that road and know that you had input into the decisions that made that road happen, I think is a real incentive. And to me, it was probably the most rewarding part of continuing to work for local governments. I'm constantly hearing from people who come to work for local government and then move on and say, I had no idea how many different things that local government actually looked after. That's also one of the great things about working for local government. If you take on a role and you come into the organisation and you find that you've done what you've been interested in, but you're ready to move on and do something else, there's other opportunities in local government. Providing I gave some thought about what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be in terms of the study, the types of study, the types of experience that I wanted to obtain, and that I expressed that and and I let somebody know that that's what I wanted to do, so there was a bit of a plan. Then I found the council was always very receptive to ensuring that I was able to continue down those study paths if that was something that I wanted to do. Working for the council gives you opportunities to meet other people in the community that you might not have met. I've met some really fantastic people and built up some great networks through places like land care, the service clubs, staff at other councils. I think it has improved my personal self-confidence. It's made me a better communicator. I think it helps the relationships and the skills you learn in building relationships with your staff and members of the community, transferable skills into your personal life. My kids went to school here, and that meant that if something was on, you can pop up to the school and you can see them get their reward. And I think the council's been very understanding, and is generally understanding with all staff for those types of things, and give you opportunities to do those. And you can only do that if you're living and working in the local community. I think that's why I love working for local government and for this particular area, and that's why I stayed here. I was very fortunate to probably be in the right place at the right times, but it's been a very enjoyable career. And I would encourage any staff member to just keep an eye out for the opportunities as they come along, and don't be afraid about putting in for those opportunities.